Hello, Facebook Live. Lindsay Price here. Having survived the Northeast Snowmageddon in March. Yay! But as you can see, I've got sun. I've got sunlight. Dwindling sunlight, and that means we'll take that as a positive step. We're moving in a positive step. So today what we're talking about today started out as an amazing question of the day on our Facebook page, and I wanted to revisit it, bring it here, talk about it some more, and talk about some ways to make it happen in the classroom. What is that question? That question is, what, dear drama teacher, what quality do you admire in a theater student? Question of the day. A quality I really admire in a theater student is, right? What do you admire in your students? What do you want to encourage in your students? Right? If there's a quality that you admire, is there ways, exercises, activities, discussion points to encourage those who exhibit those qualities, or those students who you know they could exhibit those qualities, given the right situation? There are so many students I meet who just aren't in the right situation, the right frame of mind. They haven't thought about themselves in that situation. A perfect example of that is student stage managers, that they might not see themselves in that role. And yet, when you put them in that position of responsibility, of management and organization, they flourish. They just come to life, right? And it's all about making the students the best that they can be. Drama class is an wonderful, I was going to say amazing, I'll say amazing, scenario where that can happen. What is a quality you admire in theater students? If you have an answer to that question, put it down below in the comments. Share with others whenever they come across this video. So what are some of the qualities that other teachers, other drama educators have said about the quality that they really admire? Right off the top, someone who is willing to take risks. How do you get your students to step out of their comfort zone, right? How do you get them to be okay with failure? Failure is in every other classroom, in every other situation, failure is a word that nobody wants to hear, nobody wants to have anything to do with. But when you're in a situation where you are trying to figure out, maybe you're devising something, maybe you're trying to figure out how to make a prop, maybe you're trying to block a scene, there are different ways to make it happen. That's why it's called rehearsal. If they only did it once, it would be called rehearsal, right? There's always a different way. Oh, don't slam that. Lisa, being open to new ideas and activities. Yes. Same thing that's right up there with risk taking, right? Being open to new ideas. What else? Implementing criticism. I quite like that. It's not just giving and receiving criticism, not just listening to criticism, listening to feedback, and hearing it, but implementing it. How do we get students to implement feedback? Have you ever been in an audition situation? I have, where I said that like I'm the only one who's ever been in an audition situation. Well, I've been in auditions. No. You know this scenario, though, where you are auditioning and there's a student who has done their monologue, and you say, awesome, great, hey, try it like this. And you explain the new way you want to try them to try their monologue, and they look at you, and they're very intent, and they're very focused, and they answer, yes, I understand, and they do their monologue the exact same way. Right? Right? Implementing new ideas, being open to new ideas, implementing new ideas. Chris says generosity. That, it gets right up there with collaboration, and working with others. we have this, you segmented me, you segued me so well. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is this notion of, so collaboration is identified as this skill, right? This 21st century skill, creative thinking, critical thinking, collaboration, and communication. These are the things, the 21st century skills that students are supposed to learn. Wonderful. And it is important, but what can sometimes happen is that, yes, Craig, willingness to allow themselves to fail, absolutely. Where sometimes students go wrong when they think they're collaborating, but actually they are acting as part of a team, which is not exactly the same thing, right? That and teamwork is something that they have probably been a part of since in their whole school lives, right? There's this whole notion, you go to gym, you're going to be part of the team. Maybe they've been in sports when they were younger. And that notion of being a team is not the same thing as collaborating. And collaborating, generosity, Chris, generosity is something that is quite up there as a skill when it comes to collaborating. To collaborate, people have to know how to work with a person or a group to produce or create something, right? The end result between collaboration and teamwork is often the same, right? Everyone's working towards a shared goal. But there's the notion of, with a team, there's somebody who is, the leader, right? Who is in control. And with a collaboration, it's a group thing. Everybody has to work together. They have to think together. They have to put their ideas out and be okay with maybe not having one of their ideas accepted. Willingness to being generous with ideas, being generous with other people's ideas, and being able to be okay with an idea of theirs not being accepted, right? It's give and take within a project. And I think that is where generosity really steps in, right? To give and take within a process. It's difficult to share power, right? It's difficult to accept your idea is not always the best idea. And that there's that openness, right? Right. Oh, thank you, Brian. Okay, so let's go back. I'm going to get some more wonderful. I just was so implementing criticism, positive attitude, work ethic. There is something else that is something that can be, how do you encourage work ethic in your students, right? How do you encourage them to want to work, right? How do you encourage them to want to work for you and for their classmates? One way is to think about what is the mission for do you have a mission statement for your program, for your classes? Who sets the expectations for your students and your classes? Is it you or is it the students? Are you someone who at the beginning of the year sets up takes the first week and sort of has your students identify what expectations are? What are the actions that happen if expectations aren't met? What are the goals of the classroom? Sometimes that when students are in charge of their expectations, their goal setting, and their consequences, work ethic kind of comes naturally. Maybe not naturally, but because it comes from them because they have set up the bar, right? And that's the other thing too. Where is the bar that you're setting for your students when it comes to the activities that you do? Set it too low and they won't meet it. Set it too high and maybe they'll get frustrated. It's the bar balancing act. It is a balancing act to figure out where you are going to challenge your students but always keeping that work ethic in mind. Love that. Fearlessness. What are the qualities that one teacher admires is fearlessness. Criticism, ability to take constructive criticism, there's that again. Persistence and self-reflection. How do you use reflection in your classroom? Is this something that works for you? It's something that seems to have really come up recently, that we're asking students to, we're asking them to think critically. We're asking them to think about their actions, and how are they managing their actions? What's their response to their actions? And again, drama class is one of the few places where students can have these moments where they can look at what they're doing and maybe talk honestly about what they're doing, that maybe they failed at what they're doing, and that to be a little reflective about that it's not a failure of them. This is one of the big things that I find problematic with student playwriting, particular because it is such a it can be such a raw experience for students to write a play, because it is fraught with insecurities, and that when feedback sessions happen around playwriting, a lot of times what happens is when students give feedback, critical feedback about a play, what the playwright reads that as is not that, oh, there's something in my play that I can improve, but people don't like me. And that is such a hard hurdle to get over, and that's something that that takes practice, right? Persistence and self-reflection, that takes practice, and these are the things that you can absolutely do in your classroom. Imagination and creativity. Imagination, creativity, dedication. I love this one. A can-do mindset. Colorful vocabulary, and the ability to listen, and the courage to trust my direction. Oh, a can-do mindset, a colorful vocabulary, the ability to listen, and the courage to trust my direction. A can-do mindset. So do you have students who resist? And, they just like, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. What baby steps do you take to ensure that maybe that they will get that can-do attitude, that can-do mindset? Colorful vocabulary, active listen, the ability to listen, active listening. That is something that every student can that you can actually apply, and everybody needs practice with active listening. I certainly do. There's a quote by Stephen Covey who says that most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply, right? That it's not a conversation. It's I'm going to defend myself. I'm going to tell you what I have to say, as opposed to listening to what someone's trying to say to you. We listen with the intent to reply, right? How many times have you given an instruction, and when you get to the end, someone throws up their hand with the question you already answered in the instruction, right? How many times do you have to repeat yourself in a day? Or how many times have you been listening to somebody talk and you have no idea what they're saying, right? We are listening with the intent to respond, to reply, as opposed to genuinely listening. And it is a challenge, and it's something that needs to be practiced, right? Communication, another 21st century skill. So there's a way that you can, for active listening, and that is so important in the drama classroom, right? Improv needs listening, right? The best scene work are scenes where it's clear that there's two characters on stage who are listening and responding to each other, not just waiting for the next line to happen, right? To be an engaged actor on stage, you have to listen. You have to listen to what's going on, because there is a great possibility that something is going to go awry in the scene, right? And as an audience member, right? Listening, you have to actively listen to getting the most out of your watching, right? So there's a great exercise where listen and respond. There's a great exercise in terms of if you have to practice the act of active listening, where you have two people and they're in a conversation. So person one says something, right? Person two has to actually repeat what person one said before they actually get to say something. Then person one has to repeat what person two said before they actually get to respond. So it's not it's not knee-jerk reactions. It's, what did that person say to me? Now I will respond to what that said, as opposed to having it already figured out in a head. Another exercise for active listening. So this is a story share. So this can be done as a large group, or you can divide students into groups and make it more low risk. Ask students to share a story where they felt they weren't being listened to. So what was the situation? What was the outcome? And what did it feel like not to be heard? Right? What is that? So what is that? What was that situation feel like? You can have students do something similar in pairs, where one person shares their story, the other person listens. And after 1 minute, stop the groups and ask the listener to repeat the story, so that how closely were they really listening. Divide students into groups and have them create a scene where a character wants to be heard and another character will not listen. Ask just getting everybody to listen. I think that is if that's the only thing that you can accomplish in your drama classroom, is having a room full of active listeners, you, my friend, have succeeded. Okay, a couple more and then I'm out of here. And I just want to, if you have a quality that you admire in a theater student, please put it down in the comments, so that some people who come by, they can see what your responses are. I've also put in the description a link to a document on student directors, right? Some of the qualities that we admire in students make for great student directors, right? Can do, courage, the persistence, self-reflection, creativity, all of these things can be put into the package of a student director, which is not the easiest task to take on, particularly when it comes to directing your peers. So there's a great little document on being a student director and also working with your peers. A couple of things. A learner who is not afraid to fail because they know it will only make them better. Yes. A knowledge of theatrical form that doesn't involve singing and dancing. More than musical theater. Dedication and energy. Dedication, yes. Kindness. Persistence and recognition of fear, right? Failure and fear. These are things that we don't want to put ourselves out there for. Curiosity, willingness to take risks, commitment, self-awareness, empathy, bravery, enthusiasm, fearlessness, unending joy. That's a good one to end on. Unending joy. Look around your classroom. What do you admire about your students? What are these qualities that maybe you can infuse into some of your other students? Do you have some leaders who are lurking? Do you have some listeners who could help others listen? Do you have students with some unending joy? All right, before my light before my light sinks into the west. Have a wonderful evening, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day.